Hello, friends, it's Alex here again. So, continuing my vlog theme of things that get in the way of people getting to therapy and staying in therapy. If you haven't already, go and check out some of my other vlogs. Today, I'm going to be talking about what if you just don't know where to go, right? What if you just have no idea where to even start? How do you find somebody who's good? How do you find someone who's going to be able to help you with your particular problems? Okay, so I'm talking today about this barrier, which is, I guess, like a lack of information or a lack of direction, and what you can do about that. So, the number one thing I recommend to people if they're struggling with a mental health issue is to talk to some trusted family or friends, okay? So find somebody in your life that you feel close enough and safe enough with to say, hey, like I haven't been feeling very good, or I've been super anxious lately, or whatever's been going on. And share a little bit about what's been happening and say, do you know of any good therapists, or do you know of any good counselors, or your best recommendations are going to come from family and friends, because they might say, oh yeah, I saw somebody a couple of years back and they were great, or my friend saw so and so and they spoke really highly of them. Word of mouth recommendations are always the best. Okay, so see if you can find at least one person in your life that you might be able to have that conversation with. If that feels too hard, or you're still lacking a bit of direction, or if your friends and family are like, well, we don't know either, we don't know anybody, my next recommendation would be talk to your doctor. Okay, so if you have a local GP, or better yet, if you have a GP who you've got a relationship with, go and talk to them. They will have therapists and counselors who they refer to pretty frequently. And so they'll have a really good idea of who's local and who's good, right? Because their patients come back and say, yeah, I'm feeling much better, or yeah, that was really great, or no, that was total rubbish, I hated that person, right? So they don't refer to people repeatedly who clients say bad things about and have bad experiences. So they're going to be a really good gauge of who's good. Okay, so go to your GP. They can also then do the Medicare referrals if you're in Australia. I talked about this in my vlog, Money, 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 which is about all the different rebates you can get for counselling to make it affordable for you. And so your GP can do those referrals while you're there having that conversation. So again, book an appointment, just say, hey, like I haven't been feeling great, or I've been really anxious, or whatever's been going on. I'd really like to do some counselling. Do you know of anybody? And they will have a whole list. All right. The other things you can try, it's often really good to find someone who specializes in your particular issue. So most therapists will do work with anxiety, work with depression, work with stress, things like that. Those are general sorts of things. They're very common. Most people in private practice have experience in those. But if you're struggling with something a little more specific, so for me, for example, people will often come and see me if they're struggling with self-harm. Yeah, or if they're struggling with really highly variable emotions that they feel like they can't control, right? Those are sort of my niche areas. That's, people know that I, have a lot of experience and interest in working in those areas. Borderline personality disorder is another area where people will commonly refer to me. And sometimes people will come from quite far away because that's my specialty niche. And, just like if you had a heart issue, you wouldn't go and see a dentist about it, right? Like they probably know like the general things about the heart, but if you really want the best guidance and the best information, find someone who has that niche area. So how do you go about that? Good old Google, right? Jump on there. I might Google something like, self-harm help, or counseling for self-harm, or, can't regulate emotions, pop some things in Google and see what comes up. Also, you might want to, Google counseling Avoca Beach, wherever your area is. And what will pop up will be, therapists in your area. And if they have a website, you can go to their website and you'll usually get a flavor of what they have, special expertise or interest in. Okay, so really do a bit of hunting. Again, if you see your doctor, you might ask, hey, so I'd really like to see someone who specializes in this particular thing. And they might say, oh, I know somebody, or I'm not really sure, let me ask around and get back to you. But again, it can really increase the likelihood that you're going to have a good experience in therapy and that it's going to be really helpful. Yeah, I see a lot of clients who have done different therapies before, but it wasn't until they got to do DBT therapy that I do where they found things really improved, because that's the better fit for them, particularly if the problems are emotion regulation difficulties, self-harm, things like that, right? So, yeah, search around, get Googling, and don't be afraid to ask for recommendations. Some different organizations might have recommendations too. So, for example, if borderline personality disorder is something you're struggling with, jump online, and some of those, support groups. You can join Facebook groups of people with different issues, and you can just say on there, "Hey, here's the suburb I live in. Does anybody know of a good therapist who works with this?" So Facebook groups can be a really good way, and they're closed groups. They're nice and private, so they can be a really good reference as well. So don't give up, okay? If you're not sure who to see now, don't worry. Just keep searching until you find the right person. It's important to find the right person with the right set of skills and have that right click so that you can get a lot out of your therapy. All right, guys. Great to talk to you again, as always.